plans to attack, terrorize, and violate Ghanaians. The NDC and its grassroots had ignored all calls to stop the violence. Instead, the violence intensified. The NDC party was acting as though it was coup d'etat that brought them to power. They abused and attacked electoral commission officers and personnel. They attacked and abused police officers and police installations. They attacked government institutions. And recently, as we're talking about today, in Obuasi, when the incorrigible thugs of the NDC thought that they could invade a private company, which sadly resulted in this bloodshed that we're talking about. All of these violent incursions by the NDC thugs and grassroots members received the tacit support of the NDC leadership and President John Dramani Mahama. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, you remember many of these attacks. Many of these attacks. The plot was to show you some of these videos, but I'm very much aware that you have them. You have copies, we watch them on your screens. Some of them you reported online, we watched them. So you are aware of these videos that I'm talking about. But as time goes on, if we can show them to you, we'll key them out for you to see. But many of these violent instances you are aware of. I'll just take a minute to outline a few. If we get a video, you watch them. But it started with attacks on the EC offices, destruction of pink sheets and related electoral materials and evidence in constituencies the NDC knows they've lost. And police installations also came under attack, and you recall the infamous attack at the Tema Central police station, with the pressure on police to declare the NDC winners of that seat. At the end of the day, you have seen where the result has gone, but the NDC at the time, with their members, with their leadership, tacitly encouraging its people to go and rampage these state institutions and security installations. And the strange thing was that the police could not do anything under the pressure and the inducement of the NDC leadership for their thugs to attack these security posts. The NDC thugs attacked the following institutions after President Mahama took office. Now, outside of the ones that he did following the elections, especially the parliamentary elections, in about some 12 or so constituencies which they know they lost, but they wanted to insist the result to be declared for them. After His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, took office, they carried on, and his administration watched and did nothing. I want to tell you about the attack in the New Job in Municipal Assembly. This happened in broad daylight. The government, then His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, did nothing. The thugs from the NDC again, they stormed the Tema Oil Refinery. They sacked all the employees and locked up the premises. This happened in broad daylight, and the NDC and President John Dramani Mahama did nothing. The NDC thugs again attacked cocoa board offices. This happened in broad daylight, and the NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama did nothing. The NDC thugs again attacked the Ministry of Energy, threatening the workers there, threatening the lady who was manning the reception that if she would not cooperate with them, they will sack her from the place. The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, did nothing. His party did nothing. The NDC thugs again burned down police installations in Edra and Atibu. The NDC, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, was aware, they knew about it, they did nothing. Again, the NDC thugs attacked the Eastern Regional Offices of the National Health Insurance Authority, the National Service Secretariat, the School Feeding Secretariat, the TVET, and the National Lottery Authorities. These were happening in broad daylight, yet the NDC and President John Dramani Mahama did nothing. Now, I wanted you to follow these instances and see where it culminates to a point where the people think, the NDC thugs think that they could not be stopped, they could not be touched, and that they are invincible, that they can do whatever they want. And their government, led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and their party, led by Chairman Asilu Ketia, and the General Secretary, Mr. Fiabi Fifi Koite, would do nothing, and it carried on. There have been many instances of violent conduct by the NDC members with full knowledge, as I indicated earlier, of the party leadership and the president-elect at the time and now President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. They knew what their party members were doing, but they edged them on with their silence. They edged them on. And as we all know, they say silence is consent. And in this particular instance, they didn't say anything. They were just watching, and their members knew what message they were sending. Carry on, and indeed they carried on with the violence. I am aware of, and probably you too are aware of, some letters they issued belatedly. But between you and I, we know those letters were just for the optics. They didn't issue them in good faith for their members to stop the violence. It was just for you and I to think that we were doing something. It was skirmishes, it was not honest, it was not intended to stop them. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC must take responsibility for this gruesome murder of the 11 or so people that happened in Obuasi. And incidentally, the people that were killed, very painfully, happened to be members of the National Democratic Congress. The NDC in this instance failed to protect and save the lives of these Ghanaians who are members of their party on the occasion when they died. They failed to protect and save them because they failed to lead, they failed to show leadership, they failed to tell them the truth, they failed to caution them that in this country there are laws. You can't just up and go anywhere just because your party has won an election and therefore terrorize and take over private setups as though they were yours. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, the implication of this conduct by the NDC people, because we are all mourning, which is why I'm wearing black today, we will not go into it, but they have that particular conduct, the one that happened at the AGA premises, has real implication for foreign direct investment in our country. And that is something the NDC ought to know. But they preferred to allow their politics to go ahead of the national interest. And so they failed to caution and advise their members as the lawlessness possessed their political party. It spilled over, and in Obuasi on the 19th, we saw the rather regrettable, the rather avoidable, and the painful exit of those members of their party. So in essence, it is a failure of the NDC leadership, including His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in their legitimate duty of cautioning and advising their people to desist from the lawlessness that has led to the painful loss of lives of these young people. The silence of President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC indeed edged their facts on in the rampage that we see, which unfortunately culminated in the loss of lives that we're talking about. They felt invincible, as I said earlier, untouchable and unstoppable. The bloodshed in Obuasi could have been avoided had the NDC cautioned their members against the violent rampage after the December 7th election, which they won. The grassroots, ladies and gentlemen, of every political party, and I want to make this point very clear, the grassroots of every political party, for that matter, any member of a political party, will take directives from the leadership of the party, no matter what the situation. So if it were the case that the NDC called on their members to desist from the violence, honestly, they would have done it. But because they failed to do that, their members took the cue that the silence of their leaders meant that they carry on. They carry on, and which is the reason why we are where we are, and sadly having to talk about the loss of lives in this case. The NDC is running around talking about some loss of lives, which is painful, in elections, we want to let them know that the loss of lives, whether they are their members or not, they are Ghanaians, and this is regrettable and this ought to be avoided. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will have to take responsibility for this squarely and fairly. It is because it is their inactions that led to their death on the 19th of January. We would like, ladies and gentlemen, to call on the Ghana Police to conduct its investigations and ensure justice is served expeditiously. We also want to warn the police not to engage in any backroom deals with the John Mahama administration to shield anyone in this matter. We need to emphasize that point because from every evidence we have discussed with you here, the responsibility for this unfortunate passing or slaughter of our fellow Ghanaians who are members of the NDC in Obuasi on the 19th of January 2025 is as a result of the negligence of the NDC and the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And so, they shouldn't engage in any backroom deals to kind of discolor the investigation, make it appear as though that it was an unfortunate thing, something that has happened. We don't want the police to engage in any backroom dealings with the government to cover up for anyone so that we don't see justice in this matter. It shouldn't be the case that they are their members, so they will cover this up. We are interested in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are interested in justice for these NDC members, and we hope His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, will not shield or attempt in any way, shape, or form to clear anyone who is culpable in the supervision of the slaughter of these Ghanaians who are members of their party. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. The candidate said, December 7th, yet to about, I say Ghana yet to about December 7th. The Koba say NPP, Abano, and Kwamaye, the back presidential, and is the phone winning the Papa John Dramani Mahama winning about, and parliamentary so winning before. And in terms of NPP, kindly the Frank to me, His Excellency John Dramani, Dr. Mahmoud Baobia, Econ yeah, the BC that in terms of our consider. It's not say, Sabana Sadi, and Yasum, send the about 1 course with you. Now, resort to the buy, so 10 terms for NPP, Yankasa Internal Coalition, and Chama, and Easy and Fan, and we did Sabamba. Yankasa, the Jan also, a share, the numbers of the moon say, and Koyamai, and the Ebekan say, Papa Mahama Widi, 80, and the Amano. Another Danko Kufa were buying the Jan now so supporting Yema transition, and also General Secretary Papa John Dramani Mahama, the idea, and then the next president of Ghana. Yet to abandon one when you more media for one cameras and capture send your NDC for a start here, your Brunipa easy for near Brom, your home office near Shishin, police stations near Shishin. Pink Shita, idea dance yes, when I will win and also NDC for a Fanina room at the team your Mabasa. Your from Sombra Coalition, Maba, Makujana, I was a very idea, nothing on the day, Motak Saba, Namanfo Procurator. A branch in the home, and then I see a man of appointment, why or Papa down, young man, body two, from action, then it come lawlessness, complete recklessness. And I'm going to take Ghana, a brand will win the election. Yet, when you're cool now, I am banning not train about winning. But we need to be young Koso, Ghana and pray. But only Sabasa, any shall see us, I will see it, be uncomfortable. Papa John Dramani Mahama, no, I have no tea to head. Or party penny fire phone, no tea, no more head, and I dare cause wa. And he will run to a party, mono. I bet Tom was so I did, or party number. And he, your baby, your bitch, or my yard will see penny frank country. In Tababa, yes, to buy a but almost. Thomas Soria, a baby, no matter trash almost a moon pier. The assurance of motion they see Massey Sports Stadium. I'm a real man can captain. Sadi Osha Ye, but for 2 office P. Sadi didn't see. And Pope said, yes, and yes, sir, you have a and this is for former President John Dramani Mahama no shed OT. Sir, overtaking power and so say na NDC for editing. They are called talk. They are catching us a mumpia, back one meeting, VRA, Omokoya, junior staff, or senior staff, after they are by they were issuing instruction to the senior staff as those said, company on Abedio Musa. Yankabe, NDC for you, I'm a branch, terrorizing Ghana for terrorizing government institution, terrorizing police station, Bukaya Dra. Yes, she in Drobe, Yankabe, police are here. Papa dan parent say or Ghana how so ni how NDC for e dey manage on musem be member o krom how bi any how ba kedi bi ofiti enti sabe suban wo party ni mu dia yenso so ye ti Obuasi yenso be bi mo kai on women organizer meeting o ye e ka kiro mo say oh ya ban there mo ti say I declare your papa Mahama na be bia mo take you mo fa chisel the hammer na mo call old mine. Yenya Captain Smart. Only the answer about prayer is 17 person, but on also can send your car and media for send your mocha. About I said, they now so your party, a party. And now, Bra Constitution, their mama said, Mundi as someone one we are the fourth realm of the state. Moon making sure some will do politicians accountable. After they be now, we didn't have a joining politicians, only a come out and this year, Kamoya, young camp, yeah, rationalizing. And a buffer by 80 Matia, we are Ghana for, though we are NDC for there. But then I'm saying, Subani course, Sophie, December 7th, Sagosi, I will be ungaffy, young show be a young panish will be a Tinomo, so will be a woman and yes, you will na Fofi and Twata. I am just some. The Pabe 9, 10, 11, near Cuomo, a BC, New Mont, and so. Not any be so called as a potential almost said, yeah, I tea, Babbage. Sa, and the number 4th Republic Democracy, Sa, Yam, and this is for every hand on Ratiano. I say, on to me after the piano moon, and our young just and pa, Sa, a go by. It is a friend one, they can say. And this is penny for from your papa, say, Lunketia, or call on the General Secretary, Fifi Quitty. And President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Omu negligence and alcohol, Omu tacit support for the lawlessness that possess Omu party, Omu to be uncountry. This is a very good say, Penny Ufi, na there in kind and Kawifwa, almost Kamubi. But yes, sir. On my if you have a party, oh, mine. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. 1 year coup. The Twaba and the Ewo. After the South violence here free him, the one to Mangapi. And now, I don't know more members. As I said, that the violence national party, women organize a country almost say, yeah, now we need to moon taking the law into Monsenamunko, the Bia Mopebia, not the Mopebia Mungo 5. Sanity. And the answer some part. And your friend is Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Someone taking responsibility. Now, I'm taking responsibility. No man, no, almost say, how many police for the back of travel near Kayaka Subu Maso. Now, or near course where Kunipa. Sacriform, we NDC 4 years, but more than for 4 years before, or more Crofois. I say, and far party who are also so anyone more chaka. It is Obuasi, NDC 4 national, Yenina Ghana for national. Small work at a sumo was so be and fast moving for your free states. And he paid a wood. Yabako. He paid 11 and a wood. And he a cassette. Praise for you, Mujimako could do so. And maybe a moon no more Cassade Briati, and then Omuye family, yes, you didn't get papa. Don't make it sure, say, baby, a someone of a corn, only Bonino, Yama, and Brano, and you won't prepare. na I want so ya frɛ ya papa Jordan Mahama ya ka kyerɛ sɛ sɛ polisifoɔ na ɛbɛba ne waka sɛ wɔyɛ bɛmoamoa so akata so a na anaasɛ ɔno na ɛbɛkɔ ɔmo hɔ a ɔnka ehu sɛ ɛni di akyire yɛmpɛ sɛ yɛbɛte sɛ otu anamɔ bi ɛde akɔfa obi anaasɛ otu anamɔ bi ɛde aklɛ obi ɔmo ma polisifoɔ no nyɛ investigation no na result wɔ mu no ɔmfa mbra na Ghanafoɔ nyinaa de yɛhwɛ de yɛmfa nsua adeɛ na ɔmo a ɛdi bɔne no yɛntwɛ ɔmo aso dɛmo nyinaa sesɛ mo baa. I hope that there's no question.
Read more of Figo Media. Now, party for no, and now almost a politicians who might say, Obia winning election, none of food soldier for say, a homodia. A dear now, Obecase, a bino, a dear now, who as a political party, most one a mobile and mobile to a family.
Well, I'm saying I'm more able to only get an A to me. Say, Bama Ghana for you now, she said, dear possible, and yet. Now, I don't know how possible you know, and quite a bring you know, you can't catch anything for say, almost any of the talk for the Yaka such. But on my head, and anybody actually now investigation and move and piece of the bank. Now, I switch a woman, you ever say, or more, anybody, metro muscle. Now, I am fat Mahama, a fufra, a jam, maybe she has had the bonny way. If you are more, now which I said, I am, that you will a DCP, and I'm able to. And as a party, they make the party, making sure say the plan of a baby.
The link mango, need more talk. Because we can say a man NDC, a buy out this week, a man may only police, being one of the Union and my
American say, Omar, Akoye, Amani to Musa, Safford, place for a investigation. And my treat Saffron as well. And only answer my dapos, where they are all kind of ransom, they focus on ransom.
Yeah, watch out 2008 ABC, 2016 BSc, 2020, 2020 BSc, this time around BSc, 2028. Sir, NPP winner, possibly, but BSc. How should we kind expense? Because honestly, the way it's going, whenever the government changes over, people feel that we are in power. And 2016 happened.
You blame them, the credit. Say, if a prison force say a investigation, Mufa, Musabra, and they are catching Papa, Jordan Mahama, say, Mon work at a sumo muscle. So, Besses ID to try on making sure, say, only a new as a the better muscle. Now, a same way, the Twitter, being CBU Ghana, Chiniabri, say, making sure, say, justice will be served in this matter. Now, on why I did one area, but show us. Because your memory party, and I want to buy for 194 and to a share of also I have grown. I'm ready at the NPP. I just say, I'm right here, say, party for vigilante in the account. But then is for and from ready, and only you, and you know, when you are done for my sumo, I'm in some way I see. And Muma, a Manico, Munkabi. Lydia for Munkabi. Some of them call you a Munkabi, and say, when they were Musa Munkabi, what in the studio, morning show, not some number, Dania 7. But say, yes, I never asked some more, and not yet Timugana. Whom I can't correct and find a prayer, and Ghana should be a person town. Because election I appoint December 7. Before I ever call, no, yeah, I intend to say, as yet, but they buy, they buy. Or a so can NDC for and my own members that to share my force terrorization because election will be one of the most peaceful elections in the history of this republic. And to best say media for a ceremony when you man say and Koya Mubeka. And I say with your papa say and Koya Mumbesa Mubeka. The Etiaman is they are making sure, say, they are making sure, say, the political class is held accountable. Say, yes, swap, voters accountable, say, anything for more accountable. And we made the general goals. Now, say, here, Baba gospel, Yeah, one you put on can mark you now preaching for making sure said and then friend made I'm Ghana. Me that's I'm saying question what you are on Casa. What transition about the South take to power I said that's a game. That's a game. Now so be I said it for NPP yes sir. And here, Baba, Dr. Mahama, we are concession for you. Hey, Papa, say about democracy. All kind of crime, all kinds of tension. I like what we are seeing in our election. Now, man, for so. Oh, yes, our concession. And my name is from them. My mom said, Ghana, I did democracy. Now, I say NDC forces so they side democracy where they one man find. And you begin the influence of NDC. The influence of Papa to Mahama. Any papa say go kiti ane we say oye muslim the oye say ehu but ni nyina no oni obadi I say leadership person o show man show and no na kofa we mu nyina aba ama kire say omunye democrats ama kire say aba ye 2 years obi so dey to me ma o omani anso omunya ya nka omo de patapa na nka ba beji o man but Ghana for ma e na ho NDC for the omunya nkofo a say ejajo say making sure say be so je go mu chem tina be stress mu media no mu waye en ko yese NPP before the year mu nyina me enka because Ghana no e nyina ye na e be nyina ha NDC for asem the year ko NDC for na akoko du so mu kwa the year ka asem ade ne NPP yenga because e chia oyonko a e chia biam aye ohawa abeto omo so no ade say Ghana ni Ghana for na ewu no the funny say yankasa yenkofo na ewu kasafo no be enche dia no be start abedone NPP because the party no woman. But I almost saying Kotopesi na say we 2 days ago. Call President Nangasa Kuru. She your man, she ja one this or Nangasa family house brand here on the Twashko. What I say, you prefer young Democrats, and this is for young Democrats. We are part of for yen an at the beginning of this Fourth Republic, and the excess from international pressure by and we do to say about democracy. What you told Mokasa, or Monuja Yang, Patapanu, one of Betraga. Okay, we try to have a part of the man Mahama say, Omono, and the Patapani Tom Fruma. And this I'm okay. And to what we near back, as we do, so the Patapa. And the Yama. TSA say, the Jamma, so we need any muscle and be as we are making sure, say, any animal will be. Yaya, Omega justice. A dry issue is it that journalist? What's a grass? Me say what is a disease? Genesis. How much you get Genesis? I want to hear news person. What got there? Someone can go home. The woman is. I don't know. The woman is.